Women Innovators. Interviews with women with big messages and big missions, sharing their stories to inspire you to live your passion and step up to make the world a better place. Here's your host, Tammy Patzer.
Hi, this is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really excited to introduce today's guest, Batista Gremaud. She is the co-founder of the International Institute of Body Design, helping busy women over 40 look and feel 15 years younger by eliminating pain with Dr. Fitness USA's proprietary system. Batista's expertise in strength training includes structural realignment of the spine and injury prevention. Batista is a #1 best-selling author of Feminine Body Design, Empowering Fitness for a Pain-Free Life, and co-creator of the Feminine Body Design Prescription Strength Training System. A former international performer in ballet and Spanish dance, Batista Gremaud is a visionary, certified in hands-on healing, intuitive readings, and energy clearing. Batista's longtime passion in dance, quantum physique, and metaphysical science inspires her to help busy women over 40 to achieve greater integration of body, mind, and spirit through the practice of strengthening the body and the mind with the Body Design Formula Prescription Strength Training Coaching Program. Welcome, Batista.
Well, thank you. I'm so excited to be on your show.
Well, I'm excited because I'll admit it, I'm over 40. Tell me more about your book and why you wrote it.
Okay, so I wrote the book because I learned a lot of things about fitness and being in shape and exercise. I was a performer my whole life. And when I got introduced to the strength training program by Dr. Fitness USA, I realized that a lot of things that I took for granted and that I thought I knew, I really didn't know. I got in a point in my life where whatever I was doing wasn't working anymore. You reach 40, things really do change for a woman, for men too, but, I'm focused a little more on women because I am one and I can relate. So it was a journey of self-discovery and growing and learning about my own body and all the misconceptions about the fitness industry and what works and what doesn't work, that I started sharing with people, and I found myself to repeat myself over and over and over and over, saying the same thing. And then at one point I said, wait a minute, I got to write a book. Because then if somebody asks me, I can say, well, write the book. And then if you have more questions, then I'd be happy to answer them. So originally I wrote the book because, I realized that so many women, just like myself, had really the wrong information about keeping their body fit, healthy, pain-free, and that there was a real need for the information to be out there.
Well, I know that that's the truth because I know that as I've gotten older, one of the things I've noticed is obviously I sit a lot, but I'm still working very, very hard. And it's like I don't have any time to work out. So when you work with women over 40, what are some of the problems that most of them talk to you about?
Okay, so the first thing that comes up is the no time thing. I have no time. I'm busy. I'm trying to get my business. My website. I'm got to do this. There's always the next priority. That is, and this is the number one. I hear a lot of I used to be in shape. I used to be this. I used to be an athlete. But there's a point at 40 that all of a sudden the woman seems kind of out of control, trying to just get the next thing done, and somehow, somewhere, not everybody, but that's kind of like that's what comes up a lot, is that the fitness is just, it's not a priority anymore, And then obviously, in terms of physically what happens, and then there's some weight gain, and there's aches and pains. There's like the back gets stiff, the neck is stiff. We encounter a lot of shoulder pain, and it depends a little bit of the profession of the person. Everybody has their own like ailments according to what they do, But that seems to be the two things. And in my book is these two things come hand in hand. You have no time to exercise. You're running after and I say you, I don't mean you, okay? I mean in general.
Well,
maybe you, I don't know.
But weight gain, or sometimes people actually lose weight too as they get older. And then, the pain, because for example, my neck on my shoulders are like rocks. Mm-hmm. My knee hurts because I had an injury when I was a teenager. And then, of course, I know a lot of people, they have depression and food issues and different things like that. So you actually have created a program. So if I were to ask you what your magical ability is when you work with people, what would you say?
I would say that we can increase a woman's strength 20 to 50% in as little as 20 minutes. Okay. So it's a real magic, because you see what happens is when the physical strength goes down, it has an effect on the emotional stability and the ability to be grounded. So there's a relationship with this. So once you can increase the person's strength 20 to 50%, it quiets the mind and it strengthens the nervous system. So now you can become more grounded, and then that's like the first step. Okay. And we do this through a specific strength training program that is very specific, that has a sequence of exercises and a very systematic way of increasing the weight and working the number of reps. So it's very, very precise, and it's been proven it was created by my husband, Dr. Fitness USA. Okay. And he's been perfecting this system for over 50 years, and it works magic. But that's the first thing, because you see what happens is after you turn 40, the hormones change. As women, we produce more progesterone. So in a sense, we became more male. Okay, so we become more intellectual, and we like business, we like thinking, we like doing things. And that's also a reason why it's harder for us to get grounded and find that peaceful place within our own body where we allow the body to rest and heal. So as a result, we get all these problems.
That's interesting, because most of the time when I've talked to people about losing weight, they might mention the mind-body-spirit connection, but they don't talk about it in the same way that you do, about how important, that is, and about that grounding sense that you get as you strengthen yourself, and that it leads to the stress reduction and strengthening the nervous system. I think a lot of times people, when they're thinking about weight and their bodies, they're just thinking more about, hey, I want to look good. I don't think they're making that connection of their mental state and how they think and everything. So you talk about looking and feeling 15 years younger and being more pain-free. How does that happen?
So that happens, it doesn't happen overnight, obviously. Okay. We do have that immediate strength increase that happens sometimes within the first 20 minutes. When we work with people one-on-one, then it's in 20 minutes, and we actually guarantee it. We record it, we take videos, we can act, it's factual, because we're talking about weight. So we can see, hey, now you're lifting 5 pounds and now you're lifting 50 pounds. Let's see, how much strength increases that, right? So it's very factual. When we work online, we have to be, because I have an online coaching system, and it's a 6 weeks coaching system, and that was the magic number. I tested it, and in 6 weeks we can achieve similar results. So what happens is, over time, then you're independent from a personal trainer. You receive the education of what is it that you need to do. And the program is set up in a way where you can do it 1 to 3 times a week for 30 to 40 minutes. So no time is no more, it doesn't exist. You become more proficient at what you do, you're grounded, so people make better decisions. So it's something that feels really good, so you want to go do it, okay? So as I explained earlier, it gives the person a place to go where the body heals, okay? And we work specifically with postural alignment. So the posture has a big impact on the energy flowing through the body properly. A lot of people, if you're sitting, your posture is bad, then it creates stagnation in the body, so the energy stops flowing, and then you get all the aches and pain, and then you're stressed, and then, all this stuff. So there's a lot of components that take place that happen when you do the program, that in time you really recover, you put the body back into balance. And you become strong, you become much more charismatic because your posture is good, and so you taller, and then it also helps because of the energy flow going through the brain, it helps to create new neurons in the brain, so it changes brain chemistry. So in time, you just literally look and feel 15 years younger. It just happens. And it can take a few months, it can take 6 months, it can take a year, but the program is sustainable. So we have people that have started this program with my husband 30 years ago that were in their 30s, and now you look at them, they're in their 60s, and they look even better than when they were in their 30s. And it just happens. You just look and feel 15 years younger. It's amazing.
Because your body's getting taken care of the way it needs to be. Like I get it about that trapped energy, because, for example, sitting, you're cutting off that area right around your hips. Mm-hmm. And again, like people like me who sit in front of a computer a lot, that's exactly the parts of my body that hurts, is that lower back and the hip area. And you can really feel it like it needs something,
Absolutely. Yeah, we can get rid of that in 10 minutes. I mean, I sit a lot on the computer too, mm-hmm. because I could do the content creation and everything, and sometimes I'm like 2 days, 3 days on the computer without moving, and I go to the gym on my program in 10 minutes, the backache is gone. Now, I had a lot of injuries when I came into this because I was actually a performer. So I wasn't sitting all the time. I was dancing all the time. I was extremely busy. And when I met Dr. Fitness USA, I had a frozen shoulder. I had chronic back pain for like 30 years from car accidents that I had in the 80s, and I was a real mess. So for me, it wasn't even about sitting. It was just plain overuse injuries from dancing. And as soon as I got onto this program, all my injuries disappeared within months. And now it's 10 years later, I have no more pain, no more injuries.
Wow. Yeah, being a dancer, I can imagine that is extremely physical. So with the work you do, What are some of the misconceptions that people have about working out and about physical fitness?
Okay, so misconceptions number one, women think they're going to get bulky if they weight lift.
Like Hulk. I just saw a movie with the Incredible Hulk, and he's like the epitome of overbuilt.
Exactly. So women think that that's what's going to happen. And I got news for you. In order to be looking like this, you'd have to take drugs. You'd have to work out so much. It takes a lot of discipline to be a bodybuilder in that way. It just doesn't happen. And women don't have enough testosterone to build this type of bulky muscles. And when you think about it, we start losing muscle mass as early as age 30. Okay. And the number one activity to rebuild muscle mass is strength training, obviously, right? Strength training. I mean, the word, the name even says it. So if you're not building muscle mass, if you're not strength training as of age 30, you can imagine the amount of muscle loss the person has when they reach 40, 50, 60. So doing strength training 1 to 3 times a week is not going to create bulk, trust me. So that's the number one, okay? And the second one is that yoga does the same thing. I hear this all the time. Oh, I do yoga, I'm fine. Oh, no, I'm building muscle mass because I'm holding my body weight. It doesn't happen that way. These are different muscle fibers. In order to build muscle mass, you need to actually lift heavy weight. You have to use those fast twitch fibers, muscle fibers. And so it takes actually lifting a considerable amount of weight, which yoga doesn't do. Yoga uses different muscle fibers, which build strength and endurance, not muscle building. So that's another misconception. I would say these were the two main ones. Oh, and then of course that the woman says, I do strength training. I go to the gym. Yes, I do weights. And I say, well, how much weight are you doing? Oh, I'm doing 5 pounds. So women think that doing low weight and high reps is strength training. It's not. This is classified under aerobic activity because, again, you're not using those muscle fibers. And unless you use a certain amount of weight, then it's not considered strength training. It's considered aerobic, especially if you compile it with high reps, which becomes really hard on the tendons, by the way.
Yeah, I know that every time that I've ever tried to do any type of things like at the local YMCA on those machines and stuff, I end up hurting myself in some way. So it's like,
yes,
I just know that I've like my shoulders, I've done something that made them hurt. So of course I don't want to do that. And I do know I have an issue with one of my knees and so I have certain body issues. So when you work with people, what would it look like if I wanted to work with you? What would that process be?
Okay, so there's different ways to do it. The one that's become more and more popular is my online coaching program because it's very convenient, because it doesn't require traveling or actually meeting and scheduling hourly training sessions in the gym. It's all done online. And so that's become very popular, and also because then I can reach more people. I have clients in Africa and in Paris, in Belgium. So it's growing really nicely. So what happens is when the person wants to work with me, then of course they contact me first and we see if we're a good fit. And the next thing is I would actually help them find the right gym, because it does require working out in a gym, because that's where you're going to find the equipment necessary that the person needs. We work specific types of equipment that support the spine and that maximize the result that the person can achieve in a certain amount of time. So again, I said it's very specific. So then I have a whole online platform with videos, slides, instruction that will lead the person to know exactly what to do step by step. Okay, take this little sheet of paper, go to the gym, look for this machine, sit on this machine, do so many reps, so much weight, and everything is very, very precise and very specific. The angle of the bench, where the feet go, because you see, that's kind of like what you said earlier. You go to the gym and you try a machine or you do something and then you get hurt. And This is what happens because you don't know what you're doing.
Exactly.
And that's what people do. People think that it's funny like this because, if you wanted to learn martial arts or you wanted to learn dance or you wanted to learn anything for that matter, you would go find an expert to teach you, right? But in strength training or fitness, there is this idea that you can do anything and that it's okay. It's not like that. It's an art that is to be learned. And then, of course, not every strength training program is created equal either, because I see what personal trainers do sometimes with their clients, and I wouldn't want to be the client. You know what I mean? So anyways, to come back to the question, then we'll take the person by the hand and teach them exactly what to do, how the angles of the machine has to be, the number of reps, the number of sets, everything. And then once a week, we get on a Skype call to answer questions. Sometimes if there is a specific question on form or if there's a pain somewhere, then the person would take a video of how they do the exercise, and then I'd be able to see if maybe their form is not okay, and I'll be able to make corrections. And then one of the most important, well, it's all important, but a very important part of this process is also adjusting the weight of each exercise, because this is another thing that most people are not aware of, is that they must have a balance between each exercise and how much weight you do, because we are always trying to build a balanced body. We want to be balanced. We have to have a balanced physique, and that's how we get rid of pain. It's because we create balance. So, for example, if a person is able to leg press a certain amount of weight, then that would determine how much they would need to be doing for their chest. And then that would determine how much to do with the shoulder. So everything is proportionate and in balance. So when we work with the people, we're able to, to really adjust the weight range of the whole program so everything is in balance. So that takes about 6 weeks to learn the process, and in 6 weeks, the person has learned an entire new skill that they can now use for the rest of their life to take care of their bodies in a minimum amount of time to maximize the result. So that's the first step, and then of course, depending on where the person wants to go, then there is follow-ups and other things that can be done.
Wow. So what would you say? So your system, it's called the Body Design Formula System.
Yes.
And would you say, what's the biggest difference between what you do and what most personal trainers do?
Okay, so I get that question a lot. This is an actual system that has been proven over 40 plus years. It's specific. One of the major difference would be the sequence of exercise. Most personal trainers work body parts. That's kind of like the norm of what people do. When they work with the personal trainers, they work body parts. We always look at the body as a whole because everything is connected. Another big difference is we always make that brain muscle connection. It's always about being empowered and being grounded. So there is a specific sequence of exercise that ensures that you are grounded and that you make that brain muscle connections with the ergonomics also, because when the body is ergonomically positioned into a piece of equipment or a bench, then you can actually maximize the amount of weight or the amount of power into the exercise, which most personal trainers are not ergonomic experts and don't have that principle of grounding. For example, I see a lot of personal trainers when I go to the gym, they would put a person on a leg press, for example, which is a grounding exercise. And then they would get the person to get up and do jumping jacks or go do walking lunges across the gym, which now completely overrules the grounding effect of the leg press. And now you're trying to do lunges across a gym with holding dumbbells in your hands, which totally...
You've been listening to Women Innovators with Tammy Patzer. To learn more, please go to womeninnovatorsradio.com. And please do subscribe and share to spread the big messages and big missions to change the world.